I've never tried these, but I'm gonna try to give them a go for the content. If I die, Mom, I love you. So if you're like me, Dragon Ball Z really got you into anime, and it also really got you interested in training. I remember watching some of those episodes before working out, and honestly, it's better than any pre-workout I've ever had. I first remember watching Goku training in the gravity chamber on his way to Namek and being really inspired, and he's actually got a really good push day going, hitting his chest, shoulders, and triceps, along with some core. So since today is my push day, I'm gonna go to my gravity chamber and I'm gonna give his workout a go. I am gonna change his workout a little bit to be more muscle growth centered since he's kind of a martial artist and really I'm not, I'm too fragile for that. So some of these things are gonna be changed for muscle growth and strength. So obviously since Goku is such a freak, a lot of the exercises he does are completely advanced and insane. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be giving a beginner, intermediate, and advanced version of each of these exercises so you can follow along no matter which power level you're currently at. Without further ado, I'm gonna kill this. Let's get going. Oh, really funny. I didn't plan this, but pre-workout I'm using right now has a guy going Super Saiyan on it. Thought that was pretty funny. So now that we're in my gravity chamber, unfortunately I couldn't get the gravity to work, we can start doing our push-ups. So Goku, he does one-handed push-ups, which is obviously advanced. And if you're just starting off from level 1, what you can do is start with knee push-ups. You can either do these on the ground, or if you can't do those yet, you can just do them against a wall. Get on your knees. So put your hands at about just under or at nipple level. Honestly, whatever's the most comfortable for you. Make sure your shoulder blades are down and back. Your chest are kind of reaching your chest towards the floor. You're gonna slowly come down for about 2 to 3 seconds. If you can pause at the bottom, great. And then when you push up, you wanna try to imagine that you're taking your hands and pushing them up and together like this. Obviously they're not gonna move since they're on the ground, but I'm imagining I'm pushing them together and forward. I would recommend doing these if you're a beginner. If you can get about 15 to 20 pretty well, I would say it's time to move on to the next variation. So if you're at the knee push-ups and you wanna work your way up to normal push-ups, what you can do is a little trick like this. I actually saw a guy doing this in the gym the other day. That was really cool and I wanted to share it. Is what you do is you start in a normal push-up position up like here. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna lower yourself down like you're doing a normal push-up. But when you're at the bottom, you switch to your knees, push yourself up, get back up onto your feet, and then lower yourself down, have a normal push-up, and continue. So the reason that these worked really, really well is the lowering of any exercise, you're generally about 30% stronger than you are with the up. So you can do the more difficult variation on the way down, and we have to go back up, switch to the easier variation, and then therefore you can get the best of both worlds. So naturally, the next step would be a normal push-up, but I feel like that's kind of a cop-out. So instead, I'm gonna show you something a little bit different that's better for muscle growth, and that's gonna be what's called a deficit push-up. So a deficit push-up is simply just elevating your hands in any way that you can. So any sort of platform, you can use plates, yoga blocks. You can even set up a couple of chairs to do this. What this simply allows us to do is it sinks down deeper into a push-up and stretching out our pecs more. The more your pecs are stretched out, studies are showing that gives better muscle growth. So same rules kind of apply here. Roll your shoulders down and back, stretch, pushing your chest towards the floor. And it's kind of, this is the same concept. You go down, 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 but normally instead we'd stop here. But now you can go even further down, pause if you can, and then bring your hands up together again. You can just do this. Really feel a nice stretch on your pecs. And up. So again, I do these for about 15 to 20 good reps. Slow and controlled, about 2 to 3 seconds down. The lowering is where you get a lot of the muscle growth happening. And then if you got there, you're probably ready to move on to the advanced, which is the one-handed push-ups. So the advanced one-hand push-ups, honestly, since these aren't very stable, they're not the best for muscle growth, but they do work and they look impressive. And that's what Goku does. So to keep the spirit of the workout, I'm gonna do them. So when you do these types of exercises with just one hand, you wanna always start with the side that you're weak with. So since I'm right-handed, I'm gonna start with my left side, because that's where I'm weaker and that's where I'm fresh right now. I have the energy to push through the weak side, and then my strong side can compensate for when I'm a little bit more fatigued. So if you wanna give these a go, you can start doing these on your knees, right? It's basically kind of the same thing as a normal push-up. Bring yourself down and push yourself up. Now the whole rolling the shoulders back, probably not gonna be as feasible with these unless you're super, super strong. Then I don't really know why you're watching this, but you do get a nice wide stance. You have to bring your foot forward and then okay, so that side, pretty shot. Don't want to smash my face, so I'm gonna go to the other side now where I'm stronger. Those are a lot harder than I remember. So whatever push-up variation you choose, I recommend doing 3 sets. Go as close as failure as you can with good form. If your form ever breaks for any reason, just cut the set off there. That's just asking for injury. So now that we hit our chest really well, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to something more shoulder focused. So Goku does handstand push-ups. Again, those are absolutely insane and super advanced. So if you're just beginning out, what you can do is start with pike push-ups. So pike push-ups are kind of the same deal as normal push-ups, except you're gonna be at this upward angle. Instead of pushing horizontally, this would be more chest focused. We can get ourselves more vertical and we can do a pike push-up. So put your hands just outside shoulder width, anywhere around there, again, wherever's comfortable for you. You're gonna come down as low as you can. If you can touch the floor with your head, awesome. As you go down, just really slow, 2 to 3 seconds, controlling the negative and pushing yourself back up. If you can get about 15 to 20 of those pretty easily with good form, what you can do is move on into just basically elevating your feet and doing the same thing. So this is a foot elevated pike push-up. Put your feet on any sort of platform, get vertical, and it's the same concept. 2 to 3 good controlled seconds down, pause at the bottom if you can, and then push yourself up. Just like that. So if you're feeling up to it now, after 15 to 20 reps of those foot elevated pike push-ups, you can ready to move on to the wall here. So these can be kind of scary at first. So it's just you have to kick yourself up and it's kind of unstable first. With a little bit of practice, you'll get there. So to do these, first things first, tuck in your shirt. And then what I like to do is I personally find it comfortable to keep my hand about 1 foot away from the wall. That gives me a little bit of clearance so I'm not dragging up and down. I just find it to be the best, most comfortable for my shoulders. What you can do is keep your hands about 1 foot away from the wall, and then simply you're just going to kick yourself up. So I know it's kind of scary. So it's kind of scary at first, but you get used to it over time. So don't even focus on the push-ups if you're kind of scared. Practice on kicking up. Don't be afraid to hurt the wall a little bit. It doesn't have feelings. And what you do is just push up from there. So again, my hands are about shoulder width, a little bit apart. And then you simply just go slow and controlled down. And then up. So that's our chest done and our shoulders done. And next, Goku does a lot of core work. So in the show, he does a lot of those upside down crunches where he's hanging by his feet. I really don't recommend that. They're dangerous, they're really unstable, and they're overall just not very effective. So I'm gonna show you some alternatives, but first, I've never tried these, but I'm gonna try to give them a go for the content. If I die, Mom, I love you. All right, here we go. Can I get my feet in here? Yeah, didn't really feel my abs at all. It's way too focused on trying to keep hanging. So again, would not recommend these. They're really not as effective as they look. So instead, what I'm gonna recommend if you're a beginner level is just some simple crunches. So a lot of people do these wrong, and I'm hopefully gonna correct a little bit how to do them today so you can really start feeling it. So this ab exercise that we're gonna do is called a top down exercise. So what that means is basically we're taking our top, our torso, and we're bringing it down to our lower body. So when doing a crunch, what a lot of people do is they just try to curl up like this, which isn't necessarily bad, but we can make it better. So when doing these, what you're simply just trying to do is just lift your shoulder blades off the ground. That's it. Don't try to go any higher, lifting your back up. That's where you get into a sit-up. If you're just a beginner, really want to focus on the crunch and getting a good connection with your upper abs here. You can imagine just bringing your sternum or your chest, keeping it parallel with the ceiling, and you're just going to simply try to lift it up and down. So you're not trying to roll up, you're just bringing your chest and sternum up and down. Now, if you do these correctly, these really, really burn. Some people scoff at these thinking they're way too easy, but at least for me, they kill me. Now, a common mistake people make with abs is they train them a little bit differently than other muscle groups, right? So your abs are just muscles, just like everything else. But for some reason, a lot of people like to do abs workouts with timing, right? So they do rounds of 30, 45 to a minute. However, you don't see people on the bench press doing 30 to 45 seconds of sets, right? They hit a certain amount, then they fail, and then they stop. Same thing with abs. So once you feel comfortable with those crunches, what you can now move into is one of these decline sit-up machines. When doing these, the more vertical or the more of a slope that you have, the more challenging this is gonna be. When doing these, a lot of people make this mistake when they go up and down. What they do is that they fold at the hips right here. So you're gonna notice that my torso stays completely straight, and they pull, and the only thing that's bending is right here at the hips. So when you're doing that, your abs really aren't doing that much work. So instead what you wanna do is you wanna roll, kind of like a piece of paper, you can roll it up into a tube. You're kind of doing the same thing. So if you start down here, for example, instead of folding, I'm gonna imagine peeling each individual vertebrae of my spine off. I'm gonna try to roll myself up, kind of like hunching myself up, kind of like when a cat arches its back, kind of that same concept. This way, this is really gonna engage our abs instead of our hip flexors. On the way down, you're gonna do kind of the same idea, where you're gonna stay kind of hunched over, and you're gonna unroll and place each individual vertebrae back onto the bench. And repeat. So you can get about 15, 20 of those really good reps, really slow on the way down. Pause while your abs are stretched out, and then come back up. You're gonna be doing awesome. Now it's time to move on to the advanced version, which is the exact same thing, but with a little bit of extra weight. So to start off, most people when they do these, they keep the weight really close to them. This could be a dumbbell, a medicine ball, bar, and they just do the same thing. However, you can take this a step further and make it better by using the same principle that we did with the push-ups, where we go from our knees to on our feet and just alternate, because we're stronger on the way down than we are on the way up. So we make the down part more difficult to compensate for it being stronger. So how we can do that with the bar or any weight is just simply putting it overhead. This is the same concept as like if you hold like a backpack close to you and then you reach out and hold it out, it's gonna feel a lot heavier when you hold it outwards. Same idea, except now just with our abs and overhead. So since we're stronger on the way down, we can hold it up overhead, make it more difficult. And then if you can bring it up, awesome, but you have to be pretty strong for that. So what you can do instead is, to make it more easy on the way up, is bring the weight back close to us, go up, push back overhead when you're ready to go down, and then just repeat. So again, as I keep saying, slow and controlled, 2 to 3 seconds. The lowering of any exercise generally is the more growth inducing, and pause at the bottom to make sure that you're still in control. So next is gonna be another set of abs. So Goku does 2 ab exercises. He does those hanging sit-ups, and he also does these bicycle crunches, where he goes like this. And those aren't terrible, but since we already did a bottom down motion, which these essentially are the same thing, it's kind of redundant to hit them twice. So instead what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the opposite, where we bring our bottoms, the bottom part of our abs, up to us. And we're gonna be doing different leg raise variations for that. So these are gonna hit our lower abs, or kind of like that V line is, instead of hitting our upper abs. So to start off, if you're a beginner, what you can do is just start with simple knee ups. So if you need to, you can place your hands under your butt to start. If you can't do a normal leg raise, what you can do is simply just bend your knees and bring them up like this instead as a good starter, and you can work your way out to normal leg raises. So when doing these, it's kind of that same idea of rolling versus folding as we did in the last one. So a lot of people, the mistake they make is they let their hip flexors take over and they simply just fold like this, right? So the key to leg raises is you actually want to get your pelvis and like your tailbone up off of the ground here. So you have your legs out, and instead of this, you're gonna roll up like this, and slowly on the way down, roll up. You can also do these with your legs bent. And if you're kind of in the in-between where the knees are too easy, leg raises are too hard, you can go up with the knees, straighten on the way down to make it more difficult. Try to get a nice stretch on your abs. And on the way up where it's more difficult, you can fold your legs, so on and so forth. So moving on to intermediate, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some form of vertical leg raise. So if you have a captain's chair, that's the thing where you sit in it with put your arms on the pad. I'll throw a clip up of what I mean. You can do those. However, this gym doesn't have one, so I'm gonna have to do them hanging instead, which is a bit more difficult, but it's the overall the same kind of idea and motion. So go up, get into position, whether that's in your captain's chair, hanging from a bar, and you're gonna do the same thing where you're gonna roll your pelvis up instead of just simply raising your legs. So again, what a lot of people do is when they do leg raises, they just do that, right? Which isn't really engaging your abs to the best of your ability. Instead, what you want to roll up and really try to show your butt to the world. If someone's walking by, you know you're doing it right when they can see your butt as you go. So with these, since we're vertical, we can get it kind of a swinging. You want to make sure that you're in control, because the second you start swinging like this, you're no longer stable. And for the best gains, you want to try to be as stable as possible, so all the work can be done by your target muscle group. So if you ever feel yourself swinging, stop, recenter, and go again. So finally, for the advanced, these are like super hard. These are probably more advanced than all the other ones. So what we're gonna be doing is some dragon flags. So these require some insane core strength all the way through your body, not just your abs. Doing one set of these absolutely destroys me, and I really can't do them all the way yet, but just doing the lowering is more than enough. So I'll show you what I mean here. So a dragon flag is basically finding something stable to grab onto, like this ring, for example, and you're gonna get your entire body up off just with your shoulder blades on the ground, and we're gonna be lowering just like that. Now, ideally, you'd be able to bring yourself back up, but I'm nowhere near strong enough to do that yet. So what we can do is really just focus on the lowering, and if you have to kick your way back up, just do the lowering part. Totally okay, totally cool. Honestly, I do that a lot, but if you can, what you can do is bring yourself down, and then when you're at the bottom, bring your knees back up like that, straighten out. Oh, just like that. Usually I only do about one set of these since these absolutely destroy you, but if you want to give these a go, they're a lot of fun to try, so let me know how they go. So the final exercise Goku does is those weighted punches where he holds the dumbbells and starts punching, which is great for martial arts, but again, this is more of a muscle building kind of physique based workout. So what we can do is we can get a lot of the same muscles working as those weighted punches, but make them a lot more bodybuilding style to really develop the muscles that we really want to target. So with those punches, they really help develop the shoulders, and they really hit what's called the serratus anterior, which are kind of like those shark gills that kind of give you that your abs a complete look. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a superset, or one exercise after another, that will hit our one serratus anterior first, and then we're going to move on to our shoulders. So starting with the serratus anterior, we're going to get back into a push-up position. So whether you need to do that on your knees, or you can get into a normal push-up, again, wherever you're at, you're going to get up into a push-up position. But instead of going up and down, simply what we're going to do is we're going to keeping our arms straight, sink it down, and push ourselves up like that. So you should be feeling your shoulder blades come together, and then you're trying to spread them apart. You're trying to push the world down to bring yourself back up. Just like that. So after a while, you should start feeling it right under here. And then you can start moving on to our shoulder exercise that gets hit by the weighted punches. So with the weighted punches, your front delt really is getting worked a lot more than the side part of your shoulder. So since we already hit the front parts of our delt with the push-ups and the handstand push-ups, your front delts are probably gonna be a little bit fatigued and tired and have plenty enough stimulus already. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move to our middle delt instead, and your lateral delts are the ones that give your shoulders the pop outwards, that gives you that boulder shoulder kind of look. What your lateral delts do is they primarily bring your arm out, up and out like this, kind of like you're trying to fly. So what a lot of people do is they swing up and they bring them down. They swing up and down, right? What's happening is that you're using momentum to get the weight up, and then you're just dropping them, letting gravity do all the work, right? Your shoulder isn't doing anything when you do that. So instead what you want to do is, I like to take my shoulders, push them down to the ground, and then when bringing them up, I'm not thinking about flying upwards. I'm more thinking of pushing out and then up. So it's kind of more of a sweep than it is a raise. So I sweep my arms out and up and really slowly control them on the way down. Don't let gravity do the work for you on the way down. Make sure your muscles are the things that are working and controlling the way down. Bring them back up and slowly down like this. So repeat the superset. You're gonna do it about 3 to 4 times, or wherever you start feeling really, really fatigued. About 12 to 15 will work really, really great for these, since these are weighted. And to make them more difficult, you just simply go up and wait. So hopefully you guys are one step closer to Super Saiyan. If you found any of this helpful or just enjoyed it, a like would be appreciated. Subscribe, whatever, too. It's free, and you can leave me at any time that you want. So videos will pop up here of what YouTube thinks you'll like next. Watch them if you want. And yeah, I'll see you next time.